Welcome back to the Berg Podcast. Ford and I are here again, hijacking the talking and the managing and the MCing. So we'll see how we do here, but we're going to do it a different way. We got a special guest with us besides Ford is Scott Gardner. So Scott's with us. Scott.
Hello.
And then we got Ford.
Hey, how's it going?
So we're just going to have a conversation here with Scott. Scott's been with us a while. And we just want to sort of talk through, who is Scott Gardner? We do this to other people and they get all nervous. Scott has not been wanting to be on the podcast. This is not Scott's scene. Ironically, Scott's really good at talking, but he just doesn't want to be on a podcast. But
I've seen a lot of videos, like clips and stuff, and he's usually the good spokesperson.
He usually is a good spokesperson.
Yeah, so I have no agenda, no cue cards. There are no notes.
We always say that.
Welcome to our normal podcast rules.
That's our normal podcast rules. Is we really want to have nothing. We've talked about that Brian originally had a big list, and we would talk about some things. And this is just how we like it to be. It's more natural. We just have a conversation. So the thing Scott and I have like a funny outside of work story. Like we talk a fair amount about soccer. Scott was real good at soccer. He would say probably okay at soccer or some variation thereof.
Adequate.
Adequate. He was adequate at soccer. So my daughters play soccer. Scott played soccer. He coaches soccer. Also, Scott's niece lives in my development, and is she just adequate, or are we gonna?
She's phenomenal.
She's phenomenal. Okay, so Scott average, adequate, whatever.
If he's saying adequate, and I'm assuming his scale is like skewed on the bend, so probably that means that whatever that word is she just got, that's like 10.
She's
10x,
up there.
huh?
Yeah, she's up there. So Scott and I will have conversations now and again about soccer, but the amazing thing with Scott is he came in. And we really you identified a skill set. Like you went after a skill set that you liked and a personality and knowing Scott. And we really threw him to the wolves. I mean, his job was to rebuild a division that I had virtually imploded accidentally as we grew commercial and landfill.
And if I remember, he had a couple team members that he had to work through. But, I'm going to go back way back as to how Scott and I met. Scott was in the landscaping world. And I don't even know how we got connected exactly, but you had your shop down there in Malvern area. And we did a couple little projects for you, like with our little equipment.
It wasn't little by our sense.
But yeah, I don't know. We got to sub to you guys for a couple projects. And then we started working together a little bit on one of the school projects for a walking path or something like that in Honeybrook.
Yeah, I think it was Katie Markley. It was they were trying to expand their fields.
And with you, with your soccer and everything, everything that happened with fields, you somehow got drug into helping with that. So we're looking at putting this whole walking path around like soccer fields or something. I forget how it was. And then one day we were talking, and I remember we met at Wimpy and Dee's diner, I think, for breakfast or something like that, and talked about working together. And so that was the start before. And then I probably, being part salesperson, didn't explain to him how challenging his role was going to be here, but it was like, we didn't really have a position for you at that point, but we were going to make one way or another because we wanted to have you as part of the team.
Yeah, we wanted to have him here.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, so I was a year off. I'd closed my business down, took a year off, and said, the goal was I'll make 3 years of doing nothing, right? Just try to enjoy myself. It lasted like 9 months, and then as usual, you go through your black book and you say, who do I know and who can I help? That's where your name came up. I said, Ford's, from what I hear, things are booming. I probably could do something with excavating work. So that's where I had reached out to you.
And if you know Scott, I'm surprised he lasted 9 months because, you don't even take your vacation because you're usually not going to work. You were trying to make that 9 months. You probably have done it like 3.
How much work did you do at your own house in that 9 months? Did you do like massive improvements, or did you actually manage to just settle down and do not much anything, go to the beach?
No, I actually started my patio before I settled on the house.
Yeah.
Just basically Burke's Homes convinced them to let me work.
Okay. All right. So I sort of assumed that would be true. And it's funny is where Ford and I talked was at Ludwig's in
well, if you've seen pictures of me, if a good meal is a good way to have a conversation with us.
It is a good way to have a conversation. So when Scott came in, it was a different time. Scott, how long have you been with us?
6 years.
6 years. So everybody listening that's with us 6 years ago, if you've been here, like the Justin Boyers of the world who can picture that, he knows who was here. So we don't have to call anybody out, but it was a will struggle that was very similar to my own situation, right? Realistically, you had a similar situation with me trying to take control of the company division whatever you want to call it at that point, and some people who were already in place and who were more experienced in what we were doing than I was. But you had made a decision we were going to go a different route, and you were going to promote me based on the skill set you thought I had. And Scott was very similar to that. It was a very similar situation. So for me, it was sort of, I just followed the same model you did, which is we're going to do what Scott says. And if anybody doesn't like it, they don't have to be here. Like, that's fine. They can just go work somewhere else. And it wasn't I don't know how popular of an approach it was, but it was effective. And I mean, we got to where we are now, you know what I mean? His team now is pretty fun. I mean, he has some of the longer tenured guys there, a few of them. And, you know, you got JD who, you know, he's just, if you know JD, you know JD. I mean, he's just JD, right? He's like the happiest grumpy guy you could ever meet. Like, he really wants to be grumpy, but he just doesn't do it well.
Can't read him by his facial expressions, what you're trying to say.
No,
Because
not
you
at
think
all.
by his facial expressions, you think you're in trouble.
He's consistently JD. That's what I say.
Yeah, he is. He is consistently JD.
Well,
But-
I think we're getting back to that with the special projects, as we call it. A lot of companies, when they open up into new avenues of work, most of them, they'll leave what they did before in the past. And so we were trying to keep what we did in the past, how we got to this point, and we were focusing on new things at the same time. And once you take your focus off of one thing, it kind of falters. And so by bringing Scott in, he was able to focus on that, and his organizational skills and stuff of that nature really was able to flourish into something different than even we did in the beginning. It's just that, you know, they have kind of a niche, as they say, for what they do.
Yeah, I just had a conversation with somebody today they were asking me a question, and we were talking about that. And it also reminds me of a couple other people we know who they say they pivot. But pivot does not mean you stop doing what you're doing and go do something else. It means you take
Well,
it
to the millennials, it does.
Yeah, well, I'm not calling out anybody who it was, but you know, that's true. But and you hit on Scott's organizational skills there, and that's somewhere where he is really being here longer than a lot of other people. Between he and Brian, they were the first of the like organized people, and that like is a knock on you and I guess people would take it as, but it's just not who you and I are. You know, like you can tell Scott, my desk has to be really destroyed before you actually realize I'm bothered. It's not in great shape right now, but it's not bad considering what I got in front of me. But Scott is so organized; everything's laid out neatly. It's exactly where it's supposed to be, and you can see it. And if it's not, then you know Scott's uneasy. And even if you even notice the stuff, Scott's already uneasy.
Well, and it's amazing, and this is, kudos to Scott, that he's able to work within what was at that point the Wild West, as we referred to it, and he was able to stay. Because most people that have his skill set, they like things in a particular manner.
Yeah.
And so somehow he was able to find his own calm in the storm.
Yeah, what was that like, honestly, like from your perspective, to try and maintain like some level of calm and order in the chaos that Ford and I create?
Well, I mean, the desk is the way it is because that's how I create some sense of like normal from all the chaos. So if my surroundings are neat and tidy, then everything else just seems like it fades away. So I do that on purpose, just for myself.
Yeah.
What was it like? I mean, in the beginning, it was, honestly, I think I spent a week in the office. I don't think I was doing anything other than following Luke around, honestly. Trying to figure out how everything worked and where everything was.
Is it a week all you got, or did you get longer with Luke? Like, did Luke? Because like with me, with Steve, we was supposed to be a long time, then ended up being very short, and then it just
Here's a
wasn't.
6 month transition plan. Get as much as you can in a week, and
Yeah,
you're on
in a
your
week
own.
and you're on your own. So.
No, it was a couple weeks.
Okay.
Well, and Luke was one of those because Luke had everything between his ears. Like there was nothing down. So you basically had to ask him a question because it wasn't just going to be forthcoming.
Right. Or it was scribbled notes.
Yeah, and he's not an easy one to. I mean, Luke is. You want to talk about JD is consistently JD. Luke is consistently Luke. You know exactly what you're getting with Luke, and if you don't know, you're going to get it anyway.
Yeah, I learned quite a bit from him, though.
Yeah, Luke's. Luke's one of, and Ford knows this. It's not because he's his brother. Luke's one of my favorite people because I just try and make sense of Luke, like of how he aligns his normal, giving, moral attitude with how he handles. But when it comes to business, it's business then. Like he would do anything for you. But when it comes to business, if you paid for 3, you're getting 3. You know what I mean? You're not getting 4, and you might get 2. So, it's one of those things. But it has been interesting to watch Scott, and we talk about this, that Scott is the most obvious and natural of the people that should take on more responsibility at the company. Like I do believe that Ford and I have talked about it, and I've said it to you, Scott, but it's to do it would undermine the very reason that Ford wanted you here, which is we want to maintain special projects and grow special projects because it continues to be our best profit center. It continues to be the place that we most often impact our community more directly. It's all the things we want to do. So to pull guys, which is another thing we used to do to you, right? I mean, like that was something we had to work through where you would have people or equipment and then we would pull it back. We'd be like, well, yeah, but I need that 138 or I need that 314 or, hey, can I have 2 of your guys? And then pretty soon you wouldn't be able to do anything because we took everything. And so that was really a growing, relationship between you and I early on, at least for me, was figuring out a way to leave you alone, to let you do what it was that you were paid to do and not just prioritize what we wanted to do first. So, that's another one of those things. What's it been like coming in with, like, take Dylan, DK over there, take Dylan Clements, for instance, but to have Dylan come in, what's that been like? Because you're really the first one who's brought in the young guy right out of school and tried to say, like, okay, let's help him to grow into what we want him to be. We've done it with operators, but he's really the first office person that came in that didn't have experience, whether in this field or another, but just doesn't, he's just learning it.
Yeah, but he has that, he's smart for one, but two, he just has that people nature. He's hungry to learn. The kid's like a sponge. So I just see, almost like a mini me in some aspects. So I think he's going to turn out to be a great employee, and I'm glad we got him, to be honest. I mean, I saw it in him right from the beginning, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, one of the funnier things you said to me was, or it wasn't you, with JD, and I relayed this to you. JD said, this kid, I got to tell him everything. He doesn't know anything. And I was like, well, JD, that's because he doesn't know anything. Like, he literally just graduated college. And I mean, he's worked a little bit, but he played sports, which can limit how much work you have and what your work experience is. But it was like JD not realizing, like that he doesn't know what he doesn't know. Like you're going to have to help him because he did have from his schooling, construction management and like civil engineering understanding, but he didn't have like the practical application, which is JD's specialty. JD understands how to get it done, what gets it done, and what impacts him. And he was so frustrated at times when I said, like, because I would say, like, I think Dylan's great. And he was like, he's great, except he doesn't know anything. And I would say, right, but that's the whole point, JD. Like, that's what you need to help him with. You need to help him to understand what you're thinking, what you're seeing, And
how has that support, as we'll call it, as he's growing, helped you just to be able to focus on the things that you want to focus on? Because sometimes you have busy, stuff that you have to do, but you have now some support, at least office wise, as you've been able to grow the team in the field.
Yeah, I mean, he's helped tremendously with, I hate to call it busy work, but it is busy work in an aspect where he actually gets to learn from making these phone calls, soliciting vendors for information. And I think part of that is just the learning process in itself, because he learns a little bit from each call. And a lot of it is just the wording, right? You say the right things, things they don't teach you in school. You're going to learn from guys like us and JD, so he's going to be a plus factor for sure.
Well, just a quick story about that, not to get off subjects, but he was trying to get some quotes the other day, and he was asking me for some references or something. And I said to Dan, I said, I think he's just emailing people. And I said, some of these people, you got to pick up the phone and actually call them, because they might check their email once a month to see, like, what the update on their stocks are. They're not going to check their email. So if you're just sitting there typing out emails, you're not getting a response from them. So
that's how kids do it these days.
Right. Text or email, right? Like the phone, do they even realize the phone still makes phone calls? I mean, that's not how it goes. But, we usually get to find out a little bit about your family as well. And we know at least one of your family members. But
yeah, I know one. So what's the wife do?
She's a teacher.
She's a teacher.
Yeah.
Where's she teach?
She's at Scott Middle School in South Coatesville.
Okay. All right. And how about your daughter?
She's in her second year of school. She's pre-vet. So she's going to follow my sister. My sister is also a vet.
Okay. And then your son?
Well, what doesn't he do? I mean, right now he's finishing up his, he's at BCTC for heavy equipment operations. He's co-oping here with us right now. Currently, he's worked with JD and some of our teams out in the field a little bit. But like every 18-year-old kid, he's into just about everything, especially if it involves money.
He is very into money.
And he likes his trucks. I remember like his first truck. I saw it and I was very impressed for a young man. That is quite the truck. For the
he would
first
be
one.
dangerous if he had a lot of it.
If he had a lot of it, he probably wouldn't have a lot of it anymore. Yeah. So
Well, there's something else I was going to mention, actually, Scott. Every time I go down to his office, one of the things I'm looking for is what's his new hat. He's got a hat game of, I don't know how many you have at home or you throw them away, but you have so many hats, and they're always clean and pristine. I got one. My favorite hats are usually the ones that you like can't read anymore because they're all mucked up, but his hats are always perfect, and there's always a new one. So I'm just, do you go looking for them, or you just like find them places?
I do, and if you're a hat buyer, it's a tough purchase. Like you just can't roll into Dick's and just start,
So this is like a sneakerhead thing, but it's a hat head thing type deal.
It has to. You just you're perusing around stores and you see this hat and it just hits you, and you're like, if it fits right, I got to have it. And if it fits good and looks good, you buy it no matter what the cost. Could be a $60 hat.
yeah, so you know what's funny about that is Aaron. So in our closet where you would put shoes is all hats, but just out of habit now, I always wear a Berg hat. And so like my hats now are all like older, like and since I lost weight, believe it or not, like your head gets smaller, like they actually don't fit. But I would have hats that like, when my hair was longer, I'd wear certain hats. And when it was shorter, I'd wear certain hats because they fit different. But to Ford's point, my favorite hat is I was at an LSU game in Baton Rouge and a guy offered to trade me his jersey, his LSU jersey for the hat. And I don't remember where the team's from, but it was the Fighting Squirrels. And it's like a navy blue hat with a squirrel with boxing gloves. It is the coolest hat. It is so worn from where like you grab your hat that the brim's worn through. It's so like dirty. And that's the problem. Like my hat, Scott, much like his desk, everything is like meticulous. My hats all get destroyed.
I'm just envisioning there's like a special glass case and there's like little
pulls the
protective.
hats
But like the other thing with his hats are they're not like you were always a sports team hat guy. Like you had a lot of this, but his aren't like sports teams. They're like abstract things. I mean, like for whatever Scott does, it's like the hipster, like the hats are like things I don't even know. Half the time I probably would have to Google what's even on the hat.
It seems to be clothing lines or sports apparel, which to me means nothing. It's just the hat, the look and the feel of the hat. That's it.
Well, and it's funny because we do take that stance with the Berg hats. Like we do, we like neat hats. Like, I mean, you had the one with the dozer on it where it said Berg across the front. We've had a few, and we do like to make interesting hats that we think look nice, look different.
You want to be able to wear them, right? I mean, because how many, we get free hats from people, and thank you for those, but sometimes they're not exactly as wearable as they might be as a something on a wall. We'll put them there type thing because they're just not the, there's the fit feel, there's the height of the hat. I mean, we can get into the depth, some brims are too big. Now, I don't know. Have you seen that new thing with the football players with the super big hat, like the goofy thing where it's like the size of?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, so there's like this thing. We were talking about hats. Superbighat.com or something like I was just making it up, right? It's like 10 times too big. Like think of it's
bigger than a hard hat.
Yeah. So if like say your normal hat's like 6 to 7 inches or whatever the ratios are if you're getting a fitted one, these are probably like 18 or 22. Like it looks like a 5-gallon bucket on someone's head.
And they have like a thing that it's ridiculous. I don't know what the deal is with it. Also what bothers me too is like how do you feel about like the flat brim? That drives me nuts. If people like don't have a bend, and especially if they still have the sticker, I just want to lose my mind.
Well, then you get the Cali and you get the curl up backwards too, right? So it's part of where you're from, kind of how your hat's been is.
I was gonna say if you go to California, they're all flat. I don't mind the flat.
You don't mind? All right, Scott doesn't mind. It bothers me. Yeah. It should be.
Well, I mean, there's been hats here we've gotten at times and like they don't fit them, like they don't sit on my ears right, so that doesn't work. Or like some people wear their ears like pinned into there. It's a crazy thing.
Yeah,
we got away from the fitted hats because then like if they start shrinking on you or something like that, it becomes your favorite hat. And then I remember you cutting the brim out or the inside of it out to loosen it up a little bit type deal.
You ever seen the people that curl them too much?
Oh
yeah.
Not to call out anybody, but Christian sometimes does that.
Yeah.
You tell them because they're putting like their rubber bands around at the end of the night to really over curl it.
Right. So see, what's funny here is like I've gone away from that, but if you see my older hats like that one, it's got a pretty big. I don't know that it's a Christian bend. I don't want to go that far, but it's a pretty, because I used to use a coffee cup. Like you would put it in the bend in a coffee cup and you'd leave it. And when I was young, there would be like across like my bureau would be all my hats in coffee cups. My parents probably wondered where their coffee cups were.
Well, actually, I was just thinking that's a great idea for coffee cups because you collect coffee cups, and now like the space where we keep our coffee cups is getting full. So maybe I can finally get a use for some of those things because I don't have anything good for them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's funny because everybody does have their own thing. You know what I mean? Like different things that they're very, very particular about. But Scott does have a serious hat game there. He's always got a different hat on.
And you have to store. You can't stack multiple hats together. You have to store them individually so they keep their shape.
See, so where do you store the hats?
It takes up a whole shelf in my closet.
Okay, see, so that, like I said, mine is like 5 shelves. But Erin is so mad. Because she says you never even wear any of these hats anymore. I was like, well, someday I may want to wear my hats again and not the Berg hats, and then I still want them. So, but they keep disappearing.
Well, he's got the cool abstract thing because the problem with some of my old hats that I still sit around and I won't throw away is because they usually have a meaning. Like I got them at some event or I wore them at something that happened and then I'm trying to keep them around. And I really should throw them out, but I'm like, so I've been throwing out a lot of new hats that I get people give to me. I'm like, if it's not exactly the right one, it's not going to make the list.
Yeah, I'll keep them till the salt stain starts to look like a permanent stripe.
Yeah, because trying to wash them in those things, that doesn't work.
No,
You're like, put them in your dishwasher. It's going to magically work. I've never had one work. It's like once they're that level, you just got to dump them. They got to go.
That is a myth.
Yeah, no, it never works.
I mean, he would know if anybody would. He's probably tried all the different methods you could do.
Well, I also have my beach hats. Like there's hats that stay at the beach because the beach destroys hats. So I have hats that I wear specifically when I go to the beach. One of them is the Berg. You got me the one with the Berg with the beach scene on it.
Yeah.
Which at this point is almost a white hat. It's so washed out. But because if you wear that hat, Scott's got a black hat on. It says Alpine Design. If you wore that at the beach, it would last like a day. Your head would be wet with salt water. You'd put it on. Hat's ruined.
So do you go bucket hat or are you a straw hat guy?
No, neither. I'd wear like a baseball hat. I'm going to try to be in as much sun as possible. I don't want any sun blocked.
So what's your thought on the bucket hat thing? I've not really found it to be highly making anybody look better with a bucket hat.
I feel like I'm not old enough. My dad wears a bucket hat, and it looks cool on him.
Yeah, it's kind of like what are the ones like the paint store, like the old golfers wore, like those.
The visor.
No, it's the hat, but it comes with like a point in the front.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
even a hat.
Yeah, I don't know what that's called, but it had like the
like
thing.
it snaps at the front or whatever it is. Like my
front.
grandfather would wear it. That's the kind of like same type of thing.
How about
like,
a visor? How do you feel about a visor?
Well, I have a bald head, so it doesn't look right.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about
I think
that.
really, unless you're a college football coach, the visor thing isn't.
I did it for a while when my hair was longer.
Okay.
Yeah, then I did it for a while. I had at the beach.
I would do it when I golf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I got you. Well, then the other thing we were going to ask you about was the your ability now to be more athletic than even before, because you picked golf back up, and I heard there was a little match that went on, and how did that work out?
You talking about the recent golf match?
Yeah.
Well, I was able to get off the tee box, so yeah. My goal was to get back to the golfing. That's still the plan. Will I ever get to be, a 75 shooter? Probably not. But if I'm able to walk all 18 holes, I'm good with that. And below 90.
I'm impressed too, because again, that's another slow thing that, like you like to keep active. And so a lot of people, like my friend Ben that was on the podcast a while ago, he won't golf with me because he's too like active, and he feels that 4 hours is just too long. So maybe are you the fan like the 12? They could do like a 12 hole or something. If they shortened it a little bit, it'd be better because of the amount of time it takes to play a full round of golf.
No, I'm comfortable with it. I'll still probably work out before and after, but I'm fine with the. It's a social event.
So how about when we, and I think we talked about this maybe with Christian, I don't know, but how about when we Christian wanted to play, we went and played Christian, and the wheels fell off for Christian. He got it back together, but I actually like legitimately, and Scott, you tell me if I'm wrong, I called Scott off. Like Scott had him, if Christian played Scott in like one-on-one anything, I'm pretty sure even now Christian would lose because he would lose his mind. Like Scott would break him down. Like just Christian would have to up.
So what is Scott's lip game that good that he can talk into his
I'm
ears?
competitive, and I knew I did not have the golf game to beat Christian at this point. So I had to take advantage of every edge.
I got you.
Every mistake Christian made, he was on him and like just chatting. Even when he did things right, he was chatting. And at one point, he threw his driver.
Yeah.
And when he threw his driver, we were like, Scott and I were together. I was like, you got to just back.
Right, and I couldn't do it to Dan. He's my boss. I mean,
I got a buddy, and he says,
You don't need to take me off my game. I'm not that good.
yeah, his lip wedge is stronger than any other club in his bag because he can just talk people into and doing things they shouldn't have done. You should really putt that and then mess it up in 3 strokes later type deal.
That's the great thing about golf is you could just still have the worst game, and it's still fun, right? I mean, you're hanging out with everybody, your buddies, like it's still good.
Yeah, there's very few people like if they get too frustrated, it gets challenging because you want to just have a good time. I mean, hey, I got to carry extra golf balls. Everybody does because you never know how your day's going to go. But at least you just want to have a good time out there because you set aside an amount of time you want to kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, well, and you know what's funny is you still play basketball, and Scott works out, I work out.
Well, play is kind of a loose term, but yeah,
you still
do it.
Participate in a basketball something, shoot around. But golf, which I only picked up later, is something that you could play for a long time. Like, I mean, I would love nothing more than to go out and like play football or baseball, but it is not going to be what it was. Like, you know what I mean? Scott and I were talking about it, yesterday, the day before, like I throw a pitch now and I think something's wrong with the radar gun. Like something must be wrong because I can't throw anymore.
I was with my nephews at Thanksgiving and they decided there's like 2 nephews and they were going to play offense, defense, and I was going to be the quarterback. I'm like, oh, no big deal. Like I'm throwing the football around. The next morning I wake up and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened.
It only gets better.
Yeah. Yeah, so
I get to be bionic, then it's better off, right?
I did it this year at the beach. So one of the guys that we go to the beach with, Brandon, he played for William and Mary. He's a receiver, and Brandon he can run, and so he was having me throw, and he like really wanted me to throw passes, and I felt pretty good on day 1. Day 2, I felt like I don't know if an injection in my shoulder would have helped. Like it didn't. I don't know. Like I couldn't reach down. Like my shoulder just like almost retracted in. It was like it hurt so bad. And he was like, "We're gonna throw again," and I was like cracking, trying to loosen it up to get it that I could throw again. But it's just.
I thought you were a kicker.
I can kick. Yeah, I can kick.
Well, I know you're jumping back to that, both the golf. Like we play with old timers all the time. And God bless them. They're straight as an arrow. They don't go far. They're straight. They don't mess up.
And you're like. Putt.
And they can putt because they spend the time to do it, and you just don't pay the attention to it. It's like, I don't know, we played Colt and I to play in a tournament, and it took us 23 holes to beat these guys. Neither one of them could hit 200 yards. Neither one of them could anything crazy, but you know what else they didn't do? They didn't lose a golf ball. They weren't hitting out of the rough, but they were just slow and steady, and they're like in their 70s. And it was like, man, if I can still be doing this when I'm 70, 80 years old, I'm going to be really happy about this.
Right, but the reality is if we just put our ego down and said, okay, well, we only have the 9-iron, we could probably do that too, right? Just hit a 9-iron the whole way.
You mean the whole like drive for show, putt for dough type thing? Like trying to actually like pay attention and do smart golf instead of just trying to hit the ball as far as you can?
Right, but that's no fun. I got to crush it every once in a while.
Well, and even more so, you can use the driver, just don't try and crush the ball. Like if you would just swing regular, like Ford and I talk about this, that when I play with Aaron's uncle, it's Chaz, who's 70-something, 72, that I'll tone down the driver and I only hit the ball maybe 200 to 210, but it's always in the fairway. And then I go to play with Ford and he's going to hit it far. So then I swing far. So now I'm hitting the ball 240, 260 yards, but it's about 3 fairways over when it goes. But you know what I mean? Like my best shot is off the fairway. I never hit the fairway then, and then it takes me 3 shots to get back to where I could have been if I just would have hit the ball regular. But then
Christian, take notes.
That kid, he's swinging for the fence. That kid, he's trying to get to the green on a par 5. He could have a driver that looked like the giant hat thing, like the mega drivers that the long drivers use. He's probably going to get one of those.
Yeah, was it like the extra foot long and like the head of it's even bigger setup type deal?
Yeah, he needs one of those. Christian should get one of those. Kelsey should buy Christian for Christmas like an oversized, ridiculous driver, like a fake inflatable head or something.
Love it.
So, all right. Well,
as always, we're way off.
We're way off topic. I don't know how much we talked about. I don't know what anybody got out of it, but Scott, thanks for coming on.
Anytime.
Wait, you heard that? All right, he's back.
He said anytime.
I'm putting down my mic. He's good. I'm out.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Look forward to hearing from you again, talking to you again. So, thank you.